Hello, everyone. I am Sonia Nadina Haynes, and this is Psychic Biz Live. I'm here with Aeson Knight. We might be joined by a few other people, but they'll pop in as they can. You know, this is live television. You never know what's going to happen. Today, we are talking about when is it time to pull up stakes? Figuring out when is it time to pull up stakes from a relationship, an intimate relationship, from a friendship. That's something you need to do sometimes. From a job, if you're in a job that's driving you nuts, when is it time to pull up stakes? I'm going to send you over to Aeson. Aeson, why don't you jump in and tell us a little bit about yourself?
Well, honey, I'm master psychic, clairvoyant, techie kid around here. And I like being able to call myself a kid still. I'm still fun about that. Tarot reader, in November it'll be 20 years, which is shocking. It's like, where'd the time go? And I host Conversations with Aeson on Thursday nights and sometimes Saturdays. I'm kind of bouncing right now with that. And I co-host a psychic coffee shop. And this week will be our psychic roundtable, where we'll be just taking your calls and questions and letting you guys kind of lead the show. And I do that with both of them. So that's that. And then what else do I do? I co-host this, and I'm also writing and taking calls on psychic.biz. We all come to that time where it's like the world card in the tarot, and it's the end of the cycle. It's time to move on, but we have a terrible time doing it. So let's kind of talk about some signs that it's time to move on. First one, you want to either kill them or not go into the place of work. If you don't like being around the person, it's time to go.
That's right. That's right. I've never had a problem with pulling up stakes and just exiting stage left. I'm a Virgo. Okay. I'm a very, very, very Virgo. I got 6 or 7 planets in one house. So I'm just, a little bit loopy crazy. That's what I'm calling myself. But people think I'm just sweet and nice and all that stuff. I give you the notice first, second, the third time. I don't talk to you. And if I don't talk to you, that means my stake's been pulled out. Don't even try and find it. Don't find a hammer to knock it back down, because that's it. And this is the thing. Each of us have a different threshold, right? I tend to be very clear, straightforward. What you see is what you get. Honestly, what you see is what you get. And everybody around me knows that. If Sonia isn't happy, you know it. I don't hold it in. So when I give you all of that signal, the rattlesnake, oh, look at my hand go. He says, I'm here, and you keep walking, and he says, don't walk any further. I'm here. I'm afraid you're going to step on me. And he's rattling his stake and his tail, and you keep going, and then you get bitten and you start crying, oh, there's a rattlesnake. No. If someone gives you a signal that says, don't come any closer, it means you need to back off. It means you need to let go. When within yourself, as Aeson says, you have a challenge going into a relationship, or you want to call your friend, but you're picking up the phone and you're putting it back down, and you pick up the phone and you put it back down, and you don't listen to the train again, and you don't want to call the person, or you have a hard time going into work. Or in my second marriage, I rolled over and looked at his face, and his face didn't look right. Time to pull up stakes.
Very much so. And I think the hardest one for me was quitting a job. Oh, that was the most tiresome thing. I hated this job, just hated it. They didn't respect boundaries. They didn't respect time. They didn't try to work with the work-life balance. If they needed you there 120 hours, well, you're there 120 hours. Tough luck. I couldn't deal with that. I was like, this is too much. I really should, either cut back or quit. That was the hardest one. Relationships, I've been fortunate. When I'm done, I'm done. and it's like, okay, time to pack up and go.
They look up and you're gone.
Yeah, normally they look up and go, "What are you doing?" And I'm just like, "Well, with my marriage, I told her I was leaving by. There isn't enough closet space in this house.
Mm-hmm.
I'm leaving."
Mm-hmm.
But for me, the fallout is afterwards. That's when I get the emotion, oh, I miss him, and oh, what was I thinking? And a lot of men do that. That's why they tend to be back and forth, back and forth, back and forth until they're either settled or they're gone.
Yeah.
Um, I think that another sign that you're done and it's okay to fire the situation, the person, or the thing in your life is you have no desire, when you start a new relationship or a new job or a new friendship, you get these butterflies in your stomach every time you see them.
Mm-hmm.
And when it's done, you get these rocks in your stomach. It's like, oh God, she's calling.
Mm-hmm.
Or, oh God, I have to go into work one more day. And you're counting the minutes till you get to leave the office. It's
Mm-hmm.
time for a new job. It's time for a new best friend. It's time for a new date. But I think we get comfortable and that stops our growth. What do you think about that, Sonia?
We do get comfortable. And what's interesting for a lot of us is that we're afraid to let go of something that is familiar. A lot of people will hold on to the negative discomfort for fear of being in an empty place, emotionally empty space. If you don't have the noise, I have several clients who are in the midst of the maelstrom, the noise that, and then when I talk to them, they keep going on and on. I miss him. What am I doing? I don't want to see him again, but I miss him. And they're going on like that. And so all I have to do is say, listen to yourself, because it sounds like, you take a plastic bag and put it up against a mic. That's what the energy sounds like. And I always say, you're addicted to the noise. You're addicted to the noise. If the relationship were not there, there would be silence. And there's that terrible fear. What do I do with that silence? What do I do in that stillness? When all I've known is just this chaotic craziness.
Mm-hmm. And that's when, my thoughts is you take that silence and you find your own song again. Because when we blend or merge ourselves with somebody, either in a friendship, a relationship, or a job, we start changing our song to fit that beat. It's like I used to love working the ER because I love that thumpa, 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 thumpa. What's next? What's next? What's next?
Mm-hmm.
And I even find myself today, I love it when I've got caller after caller after caller after caller after caller after caller. And people are like, are you nuts? I'm like, no, line them up, pack them in. We'll clear them out in 30 minutes or less. And that's just me. That's my song. I'm very much that high beat, high intensity, dead serious person.
Mm-hmm.
And, when I date people or when I build relationships or working relationships, I look for someone that can either keep up with the thumpa, 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 or they get the tim, tim, tim going on in the other side of it.
Yeah. I like the quiet. I'm like, I guess I kind of like the whale in the water, just kind of mosey along. But the funny thing is, in my world, and I can deal with the thumper, thumper, thumper. If it happens, I manage it just fine. I actually turn the thumper, thumper, thumper into the whale song, which is really funny because, people come in and they're falling in all directions. And I take a deep breath like the Matrix, and everything gets calm. And they're like, what happened? So it's an interesting thing, I think, for me to observe people who are so afraid of letting go. It's such, I feel for them. I do. It's such an interesting place to be, to observe when someone is in so much pain. Pardon me. And they talk about my fingernails are falling off. You know, they're in so much pain, but they're not going to trust and just free fall.
Right.
Figure out that they'll grow wings on the way down, or is that balloon there to catch them, or
exactly. And you know, people doesn't realize that, you know, we're going into fall, but you know, relationships and all relationships go through seasons.
yes,
And they all get to that winter stage when it's either time to pack it up and go, or figure out how to move into the season of the into spring or into summer when, you know, you're thriving again. But there comes a time, and something else I've noticed is when it's time for something to leave, or for you to let something go, be it a relationship, be it a job, be it a friendship, people start leaving and jumping ship. You know, it may be that you're used to having everybody over on Friday nights, and then like a month or two before a breakup is due, nobody comes over.
Oh,
There's
really?
no poker game. No, there isn't, because I think other people looking on the outside can go, no, we need to get out of here. We don't want to be in this drama because this tree's going to fall off.
Yeah, that's funny. I guess it's the energy that attracts itself. You know, if you're wanting to jump ship, everybody else crawls off the ship at the same time.
Yeah.
To deal with the fallout.
Right.
Which is very interesting. Yeah. Yeah.
And it does, it gets interesting. It's different because you know, this is something that people don't realize, is when you let that go, it creates a vacuum in your space. Well, the universe fills that right back up.
Oh, yeah.
Normally with something better, or at least more fun, because you know, an old relationship is like carrying a log around, especially when it's not a functioning one.
Yeah. You have animals there around you. I mean, that's one of the hardest letting go that I see people do, which is to let go of a pet. You know, it's ridden with cancer. It can hardly walk. It's blind in one eye. It looks like it's in pain just getting up, and they're still clinging to that animal. You know, I don't have animals around me, more because I don't want to have to figure out where to put them when I have to go somewhere. I feel my heart doesn't allow me to do that. Or then I have to find someone to come over and take care of the cat and such. So how do you feel about that kind of a letting go? Because that would be very challenging. You have a few, and tell us about your little people around.
My brood. Okay, I actually just put one down probably. Well, it was Monday a week ago.
Yeah.
He was 22 years old. He had outlived 3 owners, and he, you know, older cats get in that they lose weight like older people do.
Yes.
So he had lost weight and he had gotten less active. Again, you know, I have my brood is a lot of my brood has now gone into seniorship. But it was just a look on his face, and I'm like, we're done. You're ready to go, and your body won't shut down. And I used to be very much against euthanasia. I was totally against it. You know, let them go in their own time. I don't believe that you should do it just because, oh, you can't get a pet sitter. So I really much honor you for making the choice that, you know, pets really don't fit my lifestyle at the moment.
Yeah.
But, you know, that it was difficult, but at the same time, it was the most releasing.
Yeah.
Because, you know, he in his eyes that, you know, he had gotten that way. He had lost weight. He was having issues, so, you know, he couldn't, you know, play anymore. The younger cats were just annoying him. But he got to the point to where he was just starting to wobble and couldn't walk anymore. And I'm like, that's it. If cat can't walk, it's no good.
Yeah.
And
Out in the wild, he wouldn't survive, right?
no, out in the wild, none of them would have survived. You know, he wouldn't survive. But I've got others. I have 6 cats. Catherine, you'll see running in here in trouble. They're the office kitties. And then I have a big border collie.
Yeah.
And my mother has a Pom that's spoiled like a rocket. And then my partner has a canary, which those are, she's probably about 20 now, so she's still young.
Yeah.
But in a way, it's very freeing for the animal because I felt his spirit leaving. It's just like, because
Yeah.
they're all pure love.
Yeah.
And it was weird because, I had been there when, we had others that had lived 30 years and they naturally crossed.
Mm-hmm.
And it was different because when they naturally cross, it's more of a slower progression.
Yeah.
Whereas when you have to use euthanasia to release them, it's quicker, it's faster, and it's more like a deep breath.
Yeah.
Them. And that was really, really hard to make the decision. But afterwards, it was perfectly okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's kind of like a 20-year marriage.
Mm-hmm.
I can understand why people just stay married and move out because they don't want to go through taking that deep breath.
Yes. Yeah, you said it very well, taking that deep breath. It's such the letting go, the pulling up stakes is such a challenge for
Mm-hmm.
it's so, I mean, it wrenches the heart, for so many people. I have a friend who, in the space of 2 years, told her grandfather goodbye, told her aunt goodbye, told her mother goodbye, and just recently told her grandmother goodbye.
Ooh.
Four in 2 years.
Yeah.
Just last week she buried the grandmother. She sat down, she held her hand and told her, "It's okay, Gran, you can go."
Mm-hmm.
In our conversations, she learned to see that there was more to life, or even in love, there's more to it than. And now she just called me just now to say, and she's single. So it's like there is she's learned that there's more to life than just clinging to something, because
Right.
you cling to something, you most people cling to another person because they think they're doing them a favor. But what
Mm-hmm.
happens to a vine when it attaches to a tree, or if it attaches to your house, it wears the foundation, the walls away, right? If it
Mm-hmm.
to a tree, it takes the life away. So hanging on to or clinging on to a relationship, trying to maintain it, is actually harmful, not just to the person who's holding on, but it's also harmful to the other person. Because a lot of times they're trying to be nice. They don't want to say, okay, it's time for me to go, or it's time for me to pull up stakes. So
Right.
it's that letting go that is so important for us to do.
It is, and it fosters our own growth because if we're stagnant and we're not growing, then we're
Mm-hmm.
not going to be happy. No
Yeah.
matter how much marriage counseling we do, how much personal counseling we do,
Mm-hmm.
hanging on is just going to suffocate you. And I've
Yeah.
heard people describe it as that relationship was suffocating. And it really was because, it should have ended 5 years before they had decided to even look at trying to find the hammer, much less remember where they laid the stake at. Um,
Yeah.
But I think a lot of times people get stuck in titles too.
Yeah.
Job titles,
Mm-hmm.
Mr. So and so, Mrs. So and so.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
There was a book, and I don't remember which one it was. I'm sorry, but the woman in the book had divorced her husband.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it was She Devil. And the
Oh,
line in the book is, "For the past 20 years, I've been Miss So and so. Now who am I?" And I
yeah.
think that that's a step that you have to take, is
Yes.
figure out who you are.
Mm-hmm. And it's nice. I've always advised my clients that if you're in that place of walking away, figure yourself out before you walk out the door. Because if you don't, you're going to end up back in another relationship similar to the old one. And because it's comfortable, right? So a lot of people leave, they pull up stake and they leave, but guess what? They fall right back in the same old thing because that comfort level is so important to them. It's so it tastes so sweet to them, even though it's hurting. It's like there's a fruit in Jamaica called June plum, where it's green, and when it's ripe, the external is so tart, it's worse than eating a lemon. But if you can get through that part and get to the core, it's sweet like sugar. It's the strangest fruit you've ever tasted.
Really?
Jamaica has some really weird fruits, the ones that smell like roses and taste like roses, and they call it rose apple, obviously. But that's the thing, is that there are a lot of people who they're eating the tartness. They're so engrossed in consuming that they never figure out the sweetness in the center, which is themselves. They never figure out who they are so that they can make that shift. They can actually say, okay, I am Sonia, and I'm making that shift over there, as opposed to saying, I am Mrs. So-and-so, and I'm staying here. Like you said, it's very interesting.
And I like to advise clients to take a month per year off from whatever.
Yeah.
If you've been with someone 17 years, you take 17 months off and just get back to you.
Yes.
What do you think about that?
That's a good idea, actually. Maybe if I had taken 10 months off for my 10-year first marriage, I would probably still be married. I don't think so, but that's a good idea. You can always break it up. You can go with some girlfriends through Europe, leave the husband or the wife at home. You can take, that's a good idea. Take a leave of absence from work, Yeah, I mean, that's a very good idea.
Yeah, because, especially if you're leaving the situation, you've been with them for a year, you break up, take a month off. Yeah. Go do yourself, go get you together, and then look back and go, do I want that, or do I want something new? Because here's the facts. It happens a lot of times, especially, and I see this happening with so many relationships, with so many clients. They will date a guy who's an ass, break up with him, go right into another relationship with his twin, and it's like, did we not learn something to begin with?
That's right.
And it's like, take some time off, get to know you. I mean, you don't even know what you like to eat because you're running around having his dinner or her dinner.
Yeah. Actually, there's some time ago, and there are probably still people still doing it, where this woman got married. The man met her. She was wearing makeup. They dated. She was wearing makeup. They made love. She was wearing makeup, just like they do in Young and Restless, the TV show. And then they got married. She was wearing makeup. And for 17, 18 years, he'd never seen her without makeup.
That sounds like my second marriage.
She'd get up really early in the morning to go to the bathroom, she went to bed with the makeup on, went to the bathroom in the morning, clean her face off, put new makeup on. So he'd never seen what she looked. Can you imagine marrying someone that you don't know, you don't really see what they look like underneath? That's a strange.
It's strange, but at the same time, I can understand why. Because there are just some people that have that self-confidence issue. Looking back, I can see, because I wear makeup. I have to wear makeup. It's just who I am. It's part of me. But my second relationship, it was probably 4 months before he even saw me without it on.
I see. I got you.
You know, and it was like, yeah, you don't need to see that yet because I'm not sure I'm keeping you. So why reveal the inner package? Of course, I really wasn't ready for it because, you know, I tend to be the one that holds on to the last fibrous string is left to it.
Uh-huh.
And when the next one popped up, I'm like, oh, there you are. Okay, let's go with you. But I can understand that, but it took a while.
Yeah.
And I can see someone doing that for 20, 30 years, especially if they were brought up in the 50s ideal of watching, what was her name? Doris Day?
Doris Day.
Is
Yeah.
that is that the one that, no, you know,
Well,
because
Doris
this
Day was a cute little blonde, cute little,
housewife that never had hair out of
hair is
place.
perfect with a little bun thingy in the back,
Yeah.
perfect
Um,
nose,
hmm
and the
Perfect
lipstick.
nose, lipstick,
Yes.
hair. You know, she was always in full dress, full makeup, never out of place.
Hmm.
And a lot of women here in the U.S. was raised in that idealism,
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
you know, and they didn't. Some of them didn't escape it.
Yeah. But then Lucille Ball came along and wore rollers in her hair and
Hmm
cool stuff like that, right?
Right. June Cleaver was the character.
Oh, yeah, I have to remember what she looked like. Yeah, I know the name. Yeah.
Same package, blonde hair in a perfect do, you know, dress that goes all the way down to the just below the calf, always prim,
Mhm.
always proper, never
Mhm.
had never makeup out of place, lipstick on, and it takes a time to break that idealism and question why are you doing this,
Yeah, yeah,
you know, and I think that, oh, I'll say about every quarter you should sit down and ask yourself why are you doing this.
yeah.
Everything. Why are you doing this relationship? Why are you in this job that you hate? Is it getting you where you want? If not, find
Mhm.
one that will.
Mhm.
Because we are here only a finite time. Why do you want to spend it freaking miserable?
Well, that's the thing. Yeah, it's quite. I mean, I've dealt with a lot of people who had to make that transition, had to make that choice to leave the job or to leave the relationship or even the friendship. But you know, one of what I the mainstay, the one thing that people, if people do it, it won't be a problem leaving the relationship, is falling in love with themselves,
Mhm.
getting to know themselves, connecting with who they are. And usually when I ask the question, I get the Betty Boop eyes. I don't know. What do you want? I don't know. Both men and women.
Mhm.
What do you want from life? What is it that makes you happy? I don't know. I'll have to think about that. Now, if you have to think about what it is that makes you happy, and anyone who's listening to this live broadcast, because we're live, Psychic Big Biz Live, if you're listening to this broadcast, I'm gonna challenge you to go within and ask yourself that question: what do you want? If you could have anything in the world, in the universe, that would make you happy, what would it be? And please don't tell me it's peace on earth, because the only peace you're going to get is what's inside of you. Not, you have no control over the rest of everybody else. I'm talking about you within yourself, your inner child within your cells. What do you want? What is it? If you could draw it into your life, will make you happy. Once you have the answer for that, you can leave a relationship, leave a job, leave all these things behind without even blinking an eye. Scary, huh?
Right. Very scary.
Yeah.
And, you know, I don't think people were, you know, Jules Groover brought up a real good topic in the chat here. She says
Mhm.
a lot of us weren't taught to love ourselves
Yeah.
or told that we were beautiful.
Yeah.
And I've noticed that a
Hmm.
lot of people, a lot, and please, no hate mail. I'm not being chauvinist, but a lot of women were not told that they were beautiful by their father, so they're always thinking they get what they get.
Yeah.
And that's something you have to heal.
Yeah.
You have to get through. I used to have a friend, and every day for about 2 months, I would text her, "You are kind, you are loving, you are beautiful, you are important," as she was going through her divorce, because she was with an idiot, pure idiot, drunk thing, and needed to get away from him. But he had destroyed her self-confidence so much that she didn't even think that she could make a decision right on whether to wear pumps or to wear tennis shoes. And that's when you should go.
Yeah.
When you are no longer being valued.
Yeah.
That's when you need to go, whether it's at the job or the friendship. And yes, you can fire your friends. Fire them.
Yes.
If they aren't helping you, fire them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Our thoughts, there's a Greek, he's since passed, but there's a Greek mystic named Costas, Karyakis, or anyway, last name not important. But he said that the thoughts that we have, the thoughts that issue from us, when they leave us, the moment we have the thought, it takes on a life of its own. So it leaves us and it goes out. And if there's a person that it's projected towards, it'll go towards that person and it will touch that individual. So if your friend, that friend of yours from before, if she doesn't love herself, the man in her life, he's going to reflect back to her how she feels about herself. That's why she had a hard time letting go. It's not showing you who you are, because you're a divine being. We are divine, we are beautiful, we are spectacular, shining like the sun. But if we do not believe ourselves to be spectacular and beautiful and shining like the sun, the world cannot reflect that back to us.
No, it can't.
Huh?
No, it can't. It doesn't reflect it back, because we ain't sending out the first light to begin there.
That's right. Yeah.
And another situation that happens in relationships is they become like old shoes.
Yeah. Worn down at the heel and so scuffed up with a hole in the toe. Leather all
and
tight.
Yeah, they're tight, they're cramping, especially when you grow past the person.
That's right.
And that's even the harder ones to go past, because it's not that you don't love you. It's not that you don't love them. You may love them, but you may not have the connection with them. And if you've grown past them, it's like wearing old shoes that are too tight for you. They just want to break, and they hurt your feet, they hurt your heart, they hurt your soul. And until you learn to take those shoes off, you aren't going to be able to grow anymore. I mean, and then your life starts turning into those women in Japan that had their feet bound.
Yes.
And that disfiguring, and it starts creating dysfunction in your life.
The funny thing about the Japanese women is that they were born believing that they were beautiful with broken feet, right? They were born, and when they only knew that the broken feet were not correct because when they got older, they actually couldn't look after themselves. If their husband died, they couldn't look after themselves. They were left, crawling along the ground, and their feet were in so much pain that, that's when they realized. But their parents were the ones that bound their feet. And it's bound from the moment they're born, broken and bound.
Yep.
So, our ancestors coming through to today have shared a lot of information that they got. I wonder where all of this stuff started. Because we are leapfrogging over each other, bringing the same old nonsense all the way through to today. Now we're here trying to shake it off. It's It's very bizarre, huh?
Yeah, it's very bizarre, and it's very interesting to look at things, from those perspectives. It's weird how some people think are what some cultures have imprinted upon people.
Mm-hmm.
Beauty being one of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's probably why it's so hard for us to learn that we're beautiful or that we're
Mm-hmm.
pretty, is
Mm-hmm.
because we get instamped with this culture's view of beauty. In China, it was women with small feet. In Hawaii, at one time, it was women of girth.
Yeah, in Africa, if you had a bum that you could put a cup and saucer on and you walk and it didn't fall off, you were considered beautiful. Well, at least a woman would be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Men kind of get stuck into that boat of, thin, hairless, and muscular, and that kind of like goes throughout the world. But women go through that thing of having to learn what their beauty is
Mm-hmm.
and what they think is beauty instead of just feeling their natural self.
Yeah.
Ooh, Jewel brings up another one. The women who wear all those rings around their necks and stretch their necks longer and longer. And that's so dangerous.
Actually, that's in Africa. And
Uh-huh.
I love history. I was a history student, but it's quite funny because if the husband decides he doesn't want his wife anymore, all he does is remove the rings while she's sleeping.
Oh,
And
goodness.
he sits up and breaks her neck.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so, very interesting again.
Right. Very interesting, but also very, I don't know, cruel. I mean, that's not a good divorce.
Yeah. I mean, can you imagine if you sprained your neck and you had one of those neck braces on, how uncomfortable it is?
Uh-huh.
And you have to spend your whole life with your neck slowly being stretched one ring at a time from you were this little till you become an adult. We have put ourselves through the strangest experiences just for beauty on the planet. It's so bizarre.
Yeah, and we put so much value to that when
Mhm.
it's like, especially nowadays, because we've got such of a multitude of cultures out
Mhm.
there. It's weird how, example, the African teacup theory has now become part of American culture and thought and theory. Everybody wants a little junk in their trunk.
Oh.
I,
Oh boy. Oh my gosh. That's why clothes don't fit anymore when you go and try and buy them.
oh, don't even get me started on clothes, honey, because that is a nightmare. Almost all my stuff has to be tailored because
Yeah.
it's ridiculous. They don't make it for human bodies. I don't know who they're making clothes for. And as a designer, I'm sure you probably know a lot more about this than I do. But, I wear a size 17 shirt. I can buy 2 size 17 shirts, and they're the total. One is 17 and one is like a 16.
Mm-hmm.
I went to the store recently because I had to buy workout clothes because, the gym thing gets a little tiring when you have to come home and wash your clothes.
Mm-hmm.
And I got an extra large shirt that I've always, because I wear extra large. Didn't think to try it on, bring it home, and it looks like a postage stamp.
Because you're supposed to look like Arnold Schwarzenegger now, don't you?
Give me a year. Give me a year. Well, Sonia, me and you are planning an excursion come October.
Oh, I can hardly wait.
Why don't
Yes.
you tell our viewers about it and what we're going to be doing?
Well, we'll be at the Body, Soul, and Spirit Expo, Ottawa, which anyone along the St. Lawrence River, Thousand Islands, across Buffalo. If you're in Buffalo, if you're in, there are a few places there where you can just jump across the border and come and see us. So we'll be, this is an expo where all people who work with wellness and holistic and healing and intuitive and metaphysical topics come together, and we share our gifts and skills with you. So it's pretty neat. What's quite sad is that Chandler, the one who's of the two men who run Body Soul Spirit Expo, he's finally admitted that he has early stage, I think it's Alzheimer's or something like that. So he's now having to back away from doing as much work as he does. He's got an assistant and all that great stuff. So he's it's not Alzheimer's, it's Parkinson's. So he's starting to feel the tremors from it. But they've been running this thing for so long, doing such an incredible job. I think it's probably taken a toll on him. But I'll be picking up Aeson at the airport, zipping him to my house. We're gonna hang out, talk, chat, eat up a storm. I'm gonna make you a Jamaican dinner. And then we're gonna zip back up to Ottawa, and we're gonna hang out at Body Soul Spirit for the 3 days, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, the 14th, 15th, 16th of October, and then zip back to Brockville, where we hang out for the night, and then I'll dash you up to the airport. So it's gonna be fun. You get to see some of the beautiful fall colors.
Yes,
It's gonna be spectacular.
Yeah, and hopefully I'll bring some of our watchers with us, because I'm going to be vlogging while I'm up there and catching a lot of the fun stuff going on. So if you can't join us, be sure to look for the vlog that goes up.
Yes.
I'm going to try to film as much as I can, because I've looked at some of the structure there, and it's just gorgeous. And the fall colors will be wonderful.
Yeah.
And Jamaican dinner, I look forward to that, honey.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I've already decided what I'm going to feed you. So
Awesome.
Yeah.
And
after that, on the 20th, which is the Thursday after, I'm going to do a Power of Money workshop based on my book, The Power of Money: How You See Money is How You See Yourself. And that's going to be at the Thousand Islands Mall in Brockville here.
Cool. You doing anything this week?
Tomorrow I'm teaching seniors how to meditate. I did that last week. It was wonderful. I was worried that they wouldn't settle. You know, it's funny. People said people aren't interested in meditation. So I thought I would only get 10 people. I got 47. So 47 people signed up. Then it became a big kerfluffle, because would the room hold everybody? Well, the room will hold 50, so it's fine. But anyway, so I'm my second day teaching, so I think we might have more people come in, which is fun.
Yeah.
I tend to, I'm sure I'm doing a lot of stuff. My brain just isn't going there. I haven't had my show on for a while. I'm trying to set up a schedule where I stay on Psychic Biz, on a consistent basis, but running back and forth becomes a little bit of a challenge. Sometimes I'm just there for an hour and then, oops, I gotta go. So run off and stuff. So somewhere along, winter is the best time, because I'm not going anywhere. So, I'll be on there.
Right. And, so it's just easier to book appointments with you there.
It is easier, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to, before I come down there, go up there, come down there. Yeah, I'm used to having to go south. This time I get to go north. That's going to be fun. I'm going to be at Shaka Khan in Hawthorne's booth doing readings.
Yeah.
And that is the 30th, 1st, and 2nd of October. And that'll be fun. And then I'm going to shoot up over to Cozy Spirits Inc. They've got a new tattoo parlor, and I'm going to be doing private appointments there. So that'll be fun. And then I come play with you and have food and fun and filming and
lots of conversation. Talk,
grow. And then, we're going to be hosting our shows throughout this time. You've got your show. You just came off your show.
Yes.
Yeah, your show is at 6:30 on Tuesdays.
Yeah, 6:30 to 7:30.
And that's Oracle's Point of View.
Yes.
Yes, and so that was a good topic you did too. On
Yeah,
Trump and all this stuff going on.
yeah.
Which, by the way, we send out love and healing to all those in New York, New Jersey, Minnesota.
Hmm.
You know, yeah,
I have a theory which I haven't said out loud. I won't say it there because I'll probably get stoned. Even though I'm in Canada, I can't get stoned. I have a feeling that there's someone behind all of this instigating it for their own gain.
I have a very close theory and energy on that too.
Similar, yeah.
Yeah,
I just
similar
think that
energy.
someone is orchestrating all of this, and these idiots who are running around putting bombs up are just the pawns. I think there's more to it than that.
Well, I think that there's a system put in, and somebody needs to crack the web.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They need-
That I'll voice that opinion, and you can try to find me.
Well,
But so looking at leaving relationships, you aren't going to do it until you're ready.
that's right.
No, we were talking before the show, and it had been a while for Sonia. It had been 16 years since you pulled up stake,
That's right.
and really, you didn't pull up stake. You let them pull up the stakes.
Yeah, I pulled up the stake and let them run. The rope's still attached, but they're gone with the stake attached to it. Yeah.
That works great. It is easier though when the other party or you get fired from the job, so you're allowed to grow freeformly. You're not having to take that brave step to do it, but you still have to go through that same process of getting to know you and reinventing you and who you are and what you do for a job. Or how you like your relationship. But it's best not to go jumping into anything until you're really ready for it.
So true.
That's the hardest thing, is people want to just replace it with other stuff. I got my divorce and replace it with a diet and a gym, and I'm much more happier with my diet and gym than I was with a partner.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. I mean, I'm very much of a loner, so I'm quite content just poking around on my own. And it's a little bit worrying for me right now. If someone shows up, what am I going to do with them? It'll probably irritate me that their feet are on the sofa and all this. So I'll have to calm myself down should that occur. But when you leave a relationship, you need that quiet time. As I said to a lot of clients, especially women, in a relationship, you're making love. You have to wait for that person's energy to leave your body completely before you step into another. Otherwise, confusion reigns. You're not sure whether the person you've met is the person you really love, or if it's a residue from the other person that's causing you to attach to the new one, and so on. So, it's a good idea to just have your system, your energetic system, your physical system, your emotional system, that period of time where it can just clear. The water has to drain out completely, get clean, then you scrub it all out and then fill it back up again.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
And it also takes, what's the word I'm looking for here? Processes. You have to take time to process it out, because you go through a period of grief. No matter if it's a job, if it's a relationship, if it's a crossing, or whatever, you go through that period of grief, and nobody teaches grief anymore.
No.
We've lost a lot of that ritual that went with it.
Yeah.
It used to be a big thing. The black wreath would go on the door, the mirrors would get covered in the home. Nobody visited for like a month and gave the family Oh yeah, down here in the South, nobody would visit you for a month, at least a month, and you wouldn't jump into any social engagements. For at least 6 months. That period of mourning was going on.
Yeah.
And we don't do that as a culture anymore.
Yeah. The rituals have been set aside for now. I'm going to say set aside for now. I feel very strongly that as we move into a future where we're not sure where we're going, many of us are going to revert to those rituals again. That's my,
Mm-hmm.
you know,
Right.
many of us are going to go back to what we've known to be comfortable or comforting, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe, I mean, in when I was in Australia, they did like a death type ceremony when someone's passed away for the whole family. You know, it's that kind of Wiccan metaphysical sort of thing. And I think goddess sort of thing. And I think that maybe, you know, we need to start bringing that goddess energy back so that people can mourn, let go of their loved ones in a you know cloistering, comfortable sort of environment, so they can feel that they're okay. They have something to hold on to, but they can also, you know, do their grieving as well.
And you know, but I don't understand why we've lost. You know, our ancestors had those rituals. They had them
Mhm.
for important things. You
Mhm.
know, even divorce, as
Yeah,
nasty as it was, they had divorces back then.
yeah, yeah.
You know, and there was a ceremony of like, you know, breaking the chalice and untying the binding, and you know, then you know, one would go the one way, one would go the other, and they took their time at
That's
rebuilding their life.
mhm.
And in this fast society, I mean, heck, you can die today, and they'll have you buried before noon tomorrow.
Yeah, yeah. Some cultures require the person to be buried before the end of, if they die in the day, they have to be buried before sunset that same day. So that's one of those funny things. But my mom used to say, you know, getting a divorce is easy, she'd say. You go to the crossroads, like some of them people down there, and they say, I divorced you, I divorced you, I divorced you. It's done, and you're divorced. No problem. So she when we came home complaining about the husband, she'd say, go to the crossroads and yell, I divorced you, I divorced you. It's done. Yeah.
Exactly. And I love that she said go to the crossroads. I mean, because that is where a lot of things that take direction you in different directions
That's right.
um go to.
Yeah.
And you know, a lot of people don't think about that, of of doing those simple things like walking to the crossroads, trying things out, you know,
Mhm.
the year and a day of testing a marriage out, which I really think should be 2 years and 2 days, because it's always been the second year of my relationships that are hardest. First year, everybody's happy. The second year is when the gloves come off.
The honeymoon's over.
The honeymoon's over, darling. And you know, so I've always thought that, you know, that should be, you know, that there should be trials for things. What are
Yeah.
your thoughts on that?
Yeah, they usually are trials. Everything gets tested. It's the same thing with all things. It starts to grow and then it needs to stop for a second. You know, you plant something, it's starting to grow, and then all of a sudden it looks like it stopped growing and you wonder what happened. So then you start pumping extra fertilizer in and extra water in and put some soil in and you kill it. It just was
Hmm.
just waiting for a second, right? So
Right.
we just, you know, and I think the slow period in the relationship is when we're assimilating what we've experienced for that first period of time. You know, I mean, it's we could use it as a sweet opportunity to take a trip with the girlfriends or the boyfriends, or you know, go to Vegas, or get that separation time so that you can miss each other so badly that you end up back together. A lot of times people are together and they're together 24/7, 7 days a week, every day for the, you know, like 10 years, 20 years, and then they get tired of each other and they never take time away from each other, you know.
I know, exactly. And that is detrimental. I'm sorry. I've done that. I'm not repeating that one. I sold the rights to the movie. I burnt the t-shirt.
Yeah.
Me time. Literally, people think I'm crazy. You have to take me time. And that means not talking, not texting, not calling every 5 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Even that means you got to tell them, get the heck out of my sight for 2 hours. Go do something.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But
Do it.
yeah, again, that's the thing though. We become so dependent that when the person is silent, we wonder, oh, does he love me? Or is she still loving me? That's what they call me asking. Does he really love me? I haven't heard from him in a week. Leave him alone. Let him stay out there, chill in that silence, and he'll miss you so desperately, he'll come running home, you know?
Exactly. And don't chase after them. I
That's
swear, I don't know how many times I've looked at relationships and it looks like either the man or the woman have their hands wrapped around the person's neck, just squeezing that neck.
yeah, yeah,
I'm like, knock it off. You're going to kill the poor thing. Well,
yeah.
I emailed him 4 hours ago and he hasn't replied. And it used to take you a week with a letter, and our relationship
Yeah,
brains haven't gotten adapted to that.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, I think people need to find hobbies, especially when they get into relationships. They need to find something else, a hobby or something else that will take their minds off the other person, because that's their only focus when they're in love.
Hmm. Or I think they should find hobbies before they find relationships.
That's true too. But
That'd
a
be
lot of,
perfect. That
a lot of
because here's the thing: you'll meet people that like the same hobby, so that it ain't
that's
like, oh, you're a writer. I don't write. I like to read. Well, great. Yeah, all right, you read. That
right.
works.
There you
But
go.
people say, oh, I can't find anybody unless I use an app or I go to the bar. No, go do. Oh, I don't know. You like to hike? Go hike. You'll find them there.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Actually, yeah, very much so. Yeah, it's very interesting. Yeah.
It's always interesting. And, relationships aren't made out of water and instant coffee, and you can't throw them out as fast as that either.
That's true. Well, sometimes you can.
Sometimes you can. I've seen them blow up in an hour, you know, but it isn't always the easiest for either party. And can we talk? We're almost out of time,
Yeah.
but let's talk about this idea of the other person having to give you closure.
Ah,
The closure is the door shutting.
ah. I don't know why people talk about closure. The closure they need is with themselves. You don't need to have closure with the other person. You call them up, you start talking, and the emotions start kicking up again.
Hmm.
And then you're starting to miss them, and they're not talking, and then you need closure again. So you could have closure like 6 or 8 or 10 times. I don't know.
Yeah, I've never been one that says, "Oh, you got to go and forgive them, and they forgive you, and all that." Forget that. Move on. Go love you, and then go find somebody better.
That's right. Be your own lover, and that's
Exactly.
it. So divorce them and fall in love with yourself, and then you're good to go. So the
Right.
next time someone shows up, they can love you like you love you.
Right. Well, Sonia, we're at the end of our time here, honey.
Yes, that went fast.
It did. I love it I love it when we have a large table of people, but I also love when it's just me and you. Now, next week we're going to be talking about the black moon and its effects.
Oh,
So
boy,
that
yeah,
will be fun, because we don't get black moons that often. And I
yeah,
know that there's not a lot of stuff out there, so it'll be interesting to discuss how that will change and affect your views. So
yes,
until then,
yeah.
check out Miss Sonia. She's over at psychic.biz. If she's not there, send her an email
Email, that's right.
and you can book her an appointment. And I'm over at psychic.biz, normally midday and then late evenings. All right, guys. Bye.
Bye.